Good morning, students. Hope you are doing fine and good at home and stay healthy. In this class today we are going to see lesson 3 from First Flight book, Two Stories About Flying. In this you have part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is about his first flight, about an young seagull. Part 2 is about the black aeroplane. So let's not waste our time, let's move on to the lesson. Every first step in life needs courage and self-confidence. To cover a distance of 100 miles, we have to take a first step. Class 10, Two Stories About Flying. Part 1, his first flight. Before we move on to the lesson, let's know about author. Liam O'Flaherty. Liam O'Flaherty, he was an Irish novelist, short story writer, and a major figure in Irish literary renaissance. The word renaissance means rebirth. And he was the founding member. Founding means establishing member of the Irish Party of Ireland. Liam, he was an Irish novelist, short story writer, and a major figure in Irish literary renaissance. The word renaissance means rebirth, and he was the founding member. Founding means he established the membership of Irish Party of Ireland. Here in this first part we are going to see the story about a young seagull. So this is the image of the young seagull. It is sitting in the ledge, and down to that you could see the vast expanse of the sea. So the seagull is a seabird. So can you see a seagull which is sitting alone in the ledge? Down to that you could see blue colored sea. So now let's see outline of the story. In this story, the young seagull was afraid to fly. He lacked confidence. He was fearful of the vast expanse of the sea beneath him. So in this story, the young seagull, it was afraid to fly. He lacked confidence and he was fearful by looking at the vast expanse of the sea beneath him. And he was not trying. His parents and brothers and his sister tried their level best to encourage and boost him, but he failed to collect courage. And he was hunger. He tried to attract the attention of the family members. Only his mother felt pity on him, but she taught him a lesson in the process of giving food. She tempted him to die on the food and fly. So this young seagull was not trying. His parents and his brother and sister encouraged him to fly, but the young seagull, it couldn't collect his courage, and he was very hunger, and he tried to attract the attention of the family members. The intelligent act of the young seagull's mother prompted him to make his first flight. The intelligent act of the young seagull's mother prompted him to make his first flight. So now let's move on to the lesson. Part 1, his first flight. The young seagull was alone on his ledge. His two brother and sister had already flown away the day before. His two brothers and sister had already flown away the day before. He had been afraid to fly with them somehow. When he had taken a little run forward the brink of the ledge and attempted to flap his wings, he became afraid. The young seagull, it was alone on his ledge, and he could see his brother and sister. They had already flown away day before. He had been afraid to fly with them. Somehow he brings up its courage, and it is moving forward to the brink. Brink means the edge of the rock. And it is attempting to flap his wings, and he became afraid. This young seagull, it became very afraid. Why it became very afraid is because by looking at the vast expanse, great expanse of the sea, which was stretched down. So he could see that the sea level was so long So by looking at that, this young seagull got scared, and what did it do? It felt certain that he thought that his wings would never support him, so he bent his head and ran back to the little hole under the ledge where he slept at night. So what, the young seagull, it was alone on his ledge. Why it was alone? Because his two brothers and his sister, they had already flown away day before, and this young seagull, it had been afraid to fly with them. Somehow what it is doing, it's just going forward to the edge, and it is flapping its wings, and by looking at the vast expense, great expense of the sea, what it is doing, it's just coming back towards the place where it slept last night. Even when each of his brother and sister, whose wings were far shorter than his own, ran to the brink. So even his brothers and sisters' wings were too shorter than the young seagull, but they went to the edge of the brink and they flapped their wings and they flew away. But this young seagull, it failed to gather up the courage to take that pledge. Pledge means dive or jump, which appeared to him so desperate. So it became what? Very afraid. It became very disappointed. So his father and mother had come around. This is the end of para 1. Here what is given? The young seagull was alone. His brother and sister, they had already flown away, and he was afraid to fly because it went forward to the edge of the brink and it attempted to flap his wings, but by looking at the great sea, he thought that his wings would never support him to fly, and it went back to the place where it slept last night. Even his brothers and his sisters' wings were too shorter than his own, but they went to the edge of the brink and they flapped their wings and they flied. But this young seagull, it couldn't muster means gather up courage, so that it couldn't dive or jump, and it became very disappointed. His father and mother are also come around. Even his father and mother has come down, calling to him shrilly, upbraiding him, threatening him, let him starve on his ledge. Unless he flew away, but for the life of him he could not move. So his father and mother were shouting at this young seagull. Shrilling means making a loud noise. Upbraiding means scolding this young seagull for not flying. And they are threatening him that if you are not taking any effort to fly, then they won't let him any food, so it must starve of hunger. So his father and mother, they both were scolding, and scolding for what reason? Because the young seagull, it couldn't fly. It is not taking any effort to make a fly. So they are saying that if it is not trying now, and at last it could not move at all. Who is saying like that? Is father and mother. They are saying like that if it is not taking any effort now, then it could not move. That was 24 hours ago. Since then nobody had come near him. So this young seagull was left alone. Why it was left alone is because his two brothers and sister, they started to fly, so his father and mother went to accompany them. So this young seagull, as it couldn't fly, so it was left alone, so there was nobody near him. The day before, all day long, he had watched his parents flying about his brother and his sister. So his parents were busy on focusing on his siblings, so they helped their siblings by perfecting them in the art of flight, teaching them how to skim. What is the meaning of skim? To move lightly just above a surface. So they taught him how to skim the waves and how to dive for fish. Who taught them? His parents, father and mother, taught his two brothers and sister how to dive for fish. He had in fact seen his older brother. His parents flying about with his brother and sister, perfecting them in the art of flight, teaching them how to skim the waves and how to dive for fish. So the seagull's parent. They were busy in focusing on their siblings. They helped the siblings in the master of art of flying and diving of a food. His older brother, he had in fact seen his older brother caught his first hearing and devour it. So his older sibling, he even caught his first fish which he ate proudly. So here devour means, the word devour means eating quickly. And this was noticed by the young seagull, which was standing on a rock, while his parents circled around, raising a proud crackle. So they were very happy by looking at his brother who got his first fish, and the parents were very happy by looking at that, and they are giving a proud crackle. And all the morning the whole family had walked about on a big plateau midway down opposite cliff, taunting means insulting him with covered eyes. So while his parents celebrated it that morning, his parents taunted him all way for being covered eyes, for being covered. So next, the sun was now ascending the sky, and blazing on a sledge that faced the south. So the sun had now risen, and he was feeling the heat more than ever because he was empty. It's already mentioned that this young seagull, it did not have his food night before, and or he stepped out of the ledge and pretended to sleep. So what the young seagull is doing, the sun was now ascending the sky, blazing his ledge that faced towards the south, and this young seagull felt the heat because he had not eaten since the previous nightfall. He stepped slowly out of the break. He's just going out at the edge of the rock, and he's standing there by one leg with other leg hidden under his wings. So the young seagull was standing in one leg, the other leg was hidden under his wings, and he closed his one eye, then the other. So now you could see a clear image as it is given in your book. So you could see father, you could see father, mother, and two brother and a sister. They are flying, and you could see this young seagull, it was left all alone, and it is pretending to gain the attention of his parents by by hiding his one leg under his wings, and you could see that is opening one eye and closing one, and it is acting like as if it is sleeping. Can you see the clear image of this? And pretended to be falling asleep. Still they took no notice of him. So this young seagull was pretending to fall asleep, but they did not notice him. He saw his two brother and sister lying on the plateau, dozing with their heads sunk into their head. Next, so his parents, what they are doing, they took his brother and sister to the plateau, and their heads were sunk into their neck, and they started to take rest. They started to sleep. His father, what he was doing, preening means what? Making an effort of maintaining feathers. He was cleaning the feathers on his white back. Only his mother was looking at him. Who was looking at him? Only his mother was looking at the young seagull as she was standing on little high on the plateau. So his mother was only looking at the young seagull. Her white breast thrust forward now and again. So she tore a piece of fish that lay at her feet, and then scraped each side of her beak on the rock. So what she is doing, she was having a fish in her feet, and what she is doing, she was just cleaning each side of the fish with the help of her beak. The sight of the food maddened him. So by looking at that, the young seagull was very hunger, and it's making a loud noise. Now he loved to tear the food that way, and scraping his beak now and again to wet it means wet it. So what it is doing, the young seagull, what it is doing, it's just looking at his mother. His mother was having a fish in her feet, and this young seagull was maddened by hunger, because it's already mentioned that from previous night this young seagull, it did not eat anything. So by looking at this young seagull, even it became more hunger. Ga ga ga, he cried, begging her to bring him some food. So this young seagull is making this noise, ga ga ga, to her mother to bring him some food, and it is telling that it is very hunger. Gau kal haj. She screamed back decisively. So what she's doing? She was shouting. She was showing her anger by making this noise. But he kept calling. This young seagull, it was keep on making noise to gain the attention of his mother. But after a few minutes, this young seagull started to give a joyful scream. Why it gave a joyful scream is, he could see that his mother was coming with a piece of fish, and it was flying towards this young seagull. So so the young seagull was very joyful. So by seeing this image, you can understand, you could see the birds are flying, you could see mother seagull, you could see the fish in her beak, and this young seagull which was waiting for her mother to feed fish to this young seagull. So this young seagull, what it is doing, by looking at her mother coming closer towards it, what the young seagull is doing, the young seagull, it's just tapping the rock with his feet, showing his joyness by screaming, by tapping his feet, and it is trying to go near to her as she flew across. This young seagull, it went near to show his to get the food, but when she was just opposite to him, she halted her wings motionless, the piece of fish in her beak almost within reach of his beak. So here in this image you could see that his mother, up to certain extent, she did not move. Her mother halted here, and you could see this young seagull, it is in a reachable distance. The young seagull could jump and take its food. So what his mother is doing, she's just halting here. Can you understand? So the young seagull, what it is doing, the young seagull was just moving forward and backward to get its food. The piece of fish in her beak almost with reach of his beak. He waited for a moment in surprise, wondering why she did not come nearer, and then maddened by hunger. So she was thinking, this young seagull was thinking, why mother, she did not come closer to her, and then it was very maddened by hunger. This young seagull dived at the fish. With a loud scream, he fell outward and downward into the space. Then the monstrous terrible terror seized him. So what was the terrible terror? Just you read the next line and you'll come to know. And his heart stood still. He could hear nothing, but it only lasted a minute. The next moment, he felt his wings spread outward. The wind rushed against his breast feather, under his stomach, and against his wings. So now what happened? This young seagull, it starts to take its first flight. How it is moving? Just it was moving forward and backward, and to reach the food. But without knowing what, it started to flap its wings, and it starts to fly. He felt his wings spread outward. The wind rushed against his breast feather, then under his stomach, then against his wings. So he could feel the tip of the wings cutting through the air. Now he could feel that his wings are cutting through the air. It was not falling headlong now. So as you mentioned already, no, this young seagull, when it started to try for the first time to fly, by looking at the expanse of the sea, what it is doing, it's putting its headlong, and it goes back to the place where he slept last night. But now what it is happening here, it was not feeling headlong now, it's just moving up in the sky. He could feel he was soaring gradually downward and outward. Soaring means rising up in the air. So this young seagull was rising up in the air gradually downward and upward. He was no longer afraid. he just felt a bit of dizzy. Dizzy means uncomfortable. So then he flapped his wings once and he soared upward. So what it is doing, it's just flapping its wings up and down. It's just moving up and down. Ga 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 ga, Gaukhala. His mother swooped past him. So what his mother is doing? His mother too accompanied this young seagull by accompanied this young seagull, her wings making a loud noise. He answered her with another scream. So his mother too answered her with another scream that it is accompanying with this young seagull. Now you could see his father too started here. Then his father flew over him screaming, and he saw two brothers and his sister flying around him. So everyone, they started to fly together. Now they were curving and banking and soaring and diving. So it was like the whole family is enjoying the art of flying now. Then he completely forgot that he had not always been able to fly. So now the young seagull, it forgot that it couldn't fly, and what it is doing, it just enjoying its flight, and commanded himself to dive and soar and curve. So it's diving, soar means what, raising up, and curving, shrinking and shrilling, making some loud noise. He was near the sea now. The young seagull was now near the sea and flying straight over it. It was flying straight over it, facing straight out over the ocean. He saw the green sea beneath him with the little ridges. Ridges means what, small space where the water comes. So it was moving over it and turned its beak sideways and carved amusedly. His parents and his brother and his sister had landed on green floor ahead of him. So his parents were also along with him, and they were beckoning to him, giving some gestures to him by calling loudly. He dropped his legs to stand on the green sea. This young seagull, what it is doing, it's just dropping his legs to stand on the green sea. His legs sank into it. So this young seagull, it got scared and it thought that it would get sunk into the water, and what, it was giving a loud scream and with fright, and attempted to rise again, flapping his wings, but it couldn't do. Why it couldn't raise and flap his wings is because it was very weak now. Because why it was very weak? Because it did not eat previous night, but it was very tired and weak with hunger, so he could not rise, and exhausted by the strange exercise. His feet sank into the green sea, and then his belly touched it, and he sank no further. So now what happened? After it belly touched, it started to float in the water, and he was floating on it, and around him his family was also screaming, praising him, and their beaks were offering him some scraps of dogfish, and he made his first flight. This is how the young seagull made his first flight. Can you understand? So now let's move on to part 2, Black Aeroplane. Part 2, The Black Aeroplane, Frederick Frost. So first let's see about the author, Frederick. Frederick Frost was born on 25th August 1938, is an English author and occasionally political commander. He is best known for thrillers such as The Day of the Jackal, The Odyssey File, The Fourth Protocol, The Dogs of War, The Fist of God, The Veteran, The Avengers, The Afghan, and The Cobra. These are the works written by Frederick. Frederick, who was born on 25th August 1938 and is an English author and occasionally a political commander. Let's see the outline of the story, The Black Aeroplane. The sky was clear when the author was flying his old Dakota aeroplane over France to England. The author, here the narrator is a pilot. The sky was clear when the narrator was flying his old Dakota aeroplane over France to England. He was dreaming of his holiday and looking forward to being with his family, and thought to take good English breakfast with his family. Everything was going well. It was an easy flight. Paris was about 150 kilometers behind him when he saw the huge black mountain storm clouds in front of him across the sky. Everything was suddenly black. The author could not see anything outside the aeroplane. The aeroplane jumped and twisted in the air. The compass, radio, and other instruments suddenly stopped working. Then, in the black clouds quite near him, he saw another aeroplane. It had no lights on its wings, but he could see it flying next to him through the storm. He turned his aeroplane slowly. He turned his aeroplane slowly to the north in front of the author's Dakota so that it would be easier for the author to follow him. So now what happens? The narrator is following another aeroplane. Okay. So rest we can see by reading line by line. So let's move on to the lesson. The Black Aeroplane, Part 2. The moon was coming up in the east behind me, and stars were shining in the clear sky above me. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. I was happy to be alone, up above the sleeping countryside. I was flying my old Dakota aeroplane over France back to England. I was dreaming of my holiday and looking forward to being with my family. I looked at my watch, 1:30 in the morning. So here in this lesson, the narrator, who is the narrator here is the speaker. The pilot is the narrator of this story, and he is just narrating his journey, what happened while he was moving from France to England. So he started his journey during the night time when the sky was clear and he could see stars twinkling. The pilot felt peace in being above a country that had fallen asleep while he was flying over France to England. Why the country was asleep is because he started his journey during the night time. It was 1:30 in the morning, and he was very happy that he is going to enjoy his holiday with his family. He was just thinking about that and he started his journey. Next, second para. I should call Paris control room, I thought. As I looked down past the nose of the aeroplane, I saw the lights of a big city in front of me. I switched on the radio and said, Paris control, Dakota DS-088 here. Can you hear me? I'm on my way to England. Over. The voice from the radio answered me immediately. DS-088, I can hear you. You out to turn 12° west now. DS-088, over. So now the pilot, what he thought is when the aeroplane was in France, the pilot thought of informing the Paris control personnel about his presence and for instruction. At the time, the lights from the Paris city was shining at him. He informed the control agency that he is starting his journey and he wants to know further instruction on directions. So the control room of Paris also instructed him to turn towards 12° towards the west. Okay, so now the pilot, he is moving from France to England and now he is getting help from the Paris control room to know about the direction. I checked the map and the compass and switched over to my second and the last fuel tank, and I turned the Dakota 12° west towards England. I'll be in time for breakfast, I thought. A good big English breakfast. Everything was going well. It was an easy flight. So after receiving the instruction from the control room, the pilot geared up and followed them while putting his last fuel tank into the operation. All this time he was dreaming about his family and with his family, and then he started thinking about having a satisfactory breakfast at the destination point. Which was his destination point? England. So he was very calm as everything was going on as he planned. Can you understand? So now next. Paris was about 150 kilometers behind me. When I saw the cloud storm, when I saw clouds, storm clouds, they were huge. They looked like black mountains. Which looked like black mountains? The storms looked like a black mountain which was standing in front of me across the sky. I knew I could not fly up and over them, and I did not have enough fuel to fly around them to the north or south. So can you understand now what happened? So far he mentioned that he had a happy journey as per he planned. Now the plane has crossed how many kilometers? 150 kilometers behind. So he started seeing the clouds in the sky. The presence of cloud made him that he was unsafe to travel by air because there was a chance of storm. He could see so huge and dark, that the pilot compared them with what black mountains. He know he could pass them. He couldn't pass them because it was impossible for him to go above them or escape, okay, with the amount of fuel that was left in the last tank. The right decision what he would take is, decision making was whether to go back to Paris or to continue his journey. So I will take risk. So he's taking risk. Then I thought, and I flew that old Dakota straight into the storm. So the author took decision. What decision he thought is, he thought that he must go and meet his family. So he wanted to be with his family, and he wants to have his English breakfast with his family. So this is what he has been dreaming all the day. So that he looked, he took the risk of going back. Thus he continued his plan by going with the storm. He's going inside the clouds. Next para, inside the clouds everything was suddenly black, and it was impossible to see anything outside. So you could see, he referred in previous paragraph itself, the inside the clouds everything was suddenly black. It was impossible to see anything outside the aeroplane. The old aeroplane jumped and twisted in the air. I looked at the compass. I couldn't believe my eyes. The compass was turning round and round and round. It was dead. It would not work. The other instruments were suddenly dead too. I tried the radio. So the author what is doing is trying everything, but everything was failure. It was so dark because of the storm, and nothing was visible outside the plane. He started losing his control over the aeroplane, and the compass and the other instrument had also stopped working because of the bad weather, and he became helpless now. Paris control, can you hear me? There was no answer. The radio was dead too. I had no radio, no compass. I could not see where I was. I was lost in the storm, then in the black clouds quite near me. I saw another aeroplane. It had no light on its wings, but I could see it flying next to me through the storm. I could see the pilot's face turned towards me. I was very glad to see another person. He lifted his one hand and he waved. And follow me, he was saying, follow me. He knows that I am lost. I thought he's trying to help me. So now the pilot, he tried calling the Paris Control Agency who had helped him earlier. Earlier, they gave him instruction and direction in which direction he must go. But now he couldn't connect because of the weather. In the midst of nowhere, when everything failed, he could see a ray of hope. What was the ray of the hope is when he saw another aeroplane. He felt relieved when he saw another pilot's face, and the another pilot was willing to help him help him to escape from the storm. He thought to himself that the other pilot, he was very kind, as he knew that he was lost, and this man he has come there to help him. He turned his aeroplane slowly to the north in front of my Dakota, so that it would be easier for me to follow him. I was very happy to go behind the strange aeroplane like an obedient child. After half an hour, the strange aeroplane was still there in front of me in the clouds. Now, there was only enough fuel in the old Dakota's last tank to fly for 5 or 10 minutes more. I was starting to feel frightened again, but then he started to go down and I followed through the storm. Suddenly, I came out of the clouds and saw two long straight lines of light in front of me. It was a runway. Runway means what? A stripe of hard ground in which aircraft take off and land. An airport. I was safe. I turned to look for my friend in the black aeroplane, but the sky was empty. There was nothing there. And the black aeroplane was gone. I could not see it anywhere. So the other pilot took his plane ahead. So he was following like an obedient child. Who was following like an obedient child? He was following like an obedient. He was following like an obedient child, and the aeroplane. The other pilot, who he thought that he followed like an obedient child. He was also panicking that he was panicking because there was only less amount of fuel left. It was only then he started coming out of the storm, and he could see the runway to land his plane safely. When he turned to the tank, the other pilot, he realized that the plane that had helped him had disappeared as soon as he came out of the storm. He did not see the other pilot who had helped him. I landed and I was not sorry to walk away from the old Dakota near the control tower. I went and asked a woman in the control center where I was and who the other pilot was. I wanted to say thank you. So this man, what he is doing is just as soon as he landed, he did not go to his home to meet his family. He just went to the control tower. He went and asked the women in the control center where I was where I was, who was the other pilot. And he wants to, he is saying that he wants to say thank you to that person. She looked at me very strangely and then laughed. So the lady looked at him and she started to laugh by looking at him in a very strange manner. Another aeroplane up there in the storm? No other aeroplane was flying tonight. She's saying that there was no other aeroplane which was flying tonight. Yours was the only one I could see on the radar. So radar means what? A system for detecting the presence and direction, distance and the speed of the aircraft and the ship and the other object. A radio waves which can reflect of the object back to the source. So what she's saying, by looking at the radar, I'm telling you that only your aeroplane was there. There was no any other aeroplane. So who helped me to arrive there safely without a compass or a radio or without any more fuel? In my tanks. Who was the pilot on the strange black aeroplane flying in the storm without light? So this man, the author, did not know where he landed first because he was afraid of leaving his plane, and he headed straight into the control room and asked her about the other pilot. And to the utmost surprise, the lady informed that there was no any other plane in the sky except his, because the weather was very bad, and he felt surprised with lot of questions unanswered in his mind. So this is the end of the black aeroplane. In the end of the black aeroplane, the author, what is doing? The author, he landed safe in England, but there was another pilot who helped him, but he couldn't analyze who was that person, and this story ends up with unanswering question. So he doesn't know the person who has um, helped him. So this is how the story ends. Can you understand? Thank you for watching. Thank you.